Okay. Is anybody overwhelmed? Yes? Okay. I'm a benefits guy, and I'm right there with you. Okay? So the next thing we're going to talk about is a business model that allows small businesses to leverage buying power by membership and allows them to gain access to large group plans, which then would not subject your group to all of the moving parts and fees and penalties and some of the other things that we've been talking about this morning, okay? So is anybody familiar with the term professional employer organization? Okay, commonly known as the acronym of PEO, okay? This is the opportunity for small business, again, to leverage in and gain access to master health care plans by being a member of that PEO and do so in a fashion that will give you all very cost-effective benefit plans. And so, whereas today you may have individual plans or small group plans, this will, again, enable the opportunity, and I put up a renewal here of what it looks like for 40 employees. So the small group increase is typically a little bit less than what you would see for an individual. So trend is about 10% there. The industry discount elimination that Ken talked about is still going to impact the small group for 10%. The maximum deductible, did everybody understand that when Ken was talking about that? Because in the marketplace, the high deductible health plans or the HSA type plans have gotten a lot of traction. Well, typically, those plans have a much larger deductible, okay? So they're going to have a $3,000 or $5,000 style deductible. Well, what happens, and again, everybody was talking about market pressure, when you lower the deductible back down to the threshold that's maximum allowable to a small group, it's going to be $2,000 per individual, $4,000 per family. When that happens, guess what happens to the premium? The premium goes up dramatically because of that, okay? So again, I'm putting in 3% of that total premium as a result of that simple one mathematical movement, okay? Next, you've got new requirements, and we didn't really talk in depth about these, but they are called essential health benefits. And every plan for small group must meet all of these essential health benefit requirements. So some of the things that are normal in a plan might be prescription drug plan. Okay, that's now a requirement whether you have one or not. Okay, but there are, Ken, is it 10 primary essential health benefits that are being mandated that your plan must now have as a small group. Okay. Next, we put on the age factor banding in the ratio of 3 to 1 that Ken talked about. That's going to have an 8% impact on the average plan. So think about that, an 8% increase just because the ratio went from 5 to 1 down to 3 to 1. Is this starting to feel very good? Okay. It's starting to feel like a root canal to me. Put on that tobacco users. We're going to add another 5% to the premium cost. You're going to have the same research, taxes, and fees that Ken described for 3.8%. And all of a sudden, in 2014, the average small group's going to be staring, you saw that first slide of 21 to 50% increases. This is an example, a real life example, that drives a 41% increase in healthcare rates. Could you all absorb that? And still be able to meet these other requirements? Like one of the other essential health benefit scenarios says that the employee portion can't be greater than 9.5% of their income. Okay, so, at the end of the day, I'm sure none of us got into business to have these employee issues to deal with. But the commonality of being an employer is felt by every company that's represented in the room this morning. I mean, Peloton's a small business ourselves, okay? We would be facing those kinds of increases if we didn't have another place, a harbor, if you will, for companies and clients to be able to move toward. Okay, so let's look at what this looks like. And as I mentioned before, PEO, or Professional Employer Organization, has a large group health plan. It's a master health plan that we manage. Peloton's the sponsor of that plan, and we allow our member companies access to that plan. Well, let's look at a little bit of the differences. Trend, our plan's running and has for several years, actually run a few years at 0% increase, but runs on a trend of about 8%, okay? So again, that's saying 8% over the premiums in the marketplace. Still, you would have the research fees and the taxes associated for 3.8%. That's it, 11% increase. Now, inside of PEO, you also get other services. You get payroll services, you get human resources support, and you would get benefits administration. So let me talk real briefly because, I guess on a bottom line basis, I've met with many employers, many owners, many C-suite executives over the last 2 months. And we've talked about Affordable Care Act. And I've asked them, as I would, start the process with you all today, to say, this starts to get pretty overwhelming. Yeah, okay, everybody shakes their head yes. This starts to get, a little emotion going in that, I can't afford a 41% increase in my business for healthcare rates. Not only can I not afford it, I don't want to afford it. And if you think back to when, we started benefit plans for our employees, typically, we as employers take a paternalistic view. We say, okay, in order for us to attract and retain top talent, we want to provide our employees with a benefit plan that's competitive in the marketplace. Is that a key element to keeping your good people? I mean, I think it's pretty common that benefit plans in the small to mid-sized business space have become a key component of total compensation, okay? And when we look at this, the 41% increase, I don't know about you, but if my business can't afford that, that doesn't seem to feel very good, okay? Because all of a sudden it's being mandated to me as opposed to the contribution I make on behalf of my employees is what my business can afford. The plan, as I've designed it, is what my business can afford. And all of those elements start to revolve around a difference between paternalism and the fact that all of a sudden this is being required of me as an employer in the marketplace. That starts to feel a little different. Okay, so when you look at access to larger group health plans, this isn't magic. I mean, again, the ability to access a plan that is a larger pool, guess what? Makes the rates more controllable, makes the quality of the plans more controllable, and oh, by the way, some of those essential health benefit requirements will not hit the large group plans the same as they do the small group plans. Okay? The 30% savings that's represented here, quite frankly, allows the member company inside the PEO on a self-funded mechanism to pay for all of the services that they're getting. So, when I say payroll services, that's tax filings on your behalf. It's all of the complete component. Benefits administration, our folks do all of that. And I want to talk just briefly because I've heard several business owners say, you know what, I think that this is also overwhelming to me. I'm just going to release all my employees to the exchange and they can all get their own health care there and choose what they want, and that's the way it's going to work. Does anybody ever have employees when their health care coverage isn't quite what they think it is, come and maybe complain about the health care coverage? I see a few smiles. I mean, I think we all know that there's some subset of unproductive time spent on dealing with employee relations when the health care isn't going well, okay? So imagine if we release all of our employees to the exchange and we say, good luck, go get your own health care, that's where you get it at, and you got 15 employees, and those 15 employees all make a different choice. Some of them made it based on family coverage, some of it based on what they could afford. And are those people experts at choosing plans for themselves? No. I mean, what I would argue with you is when you do that, be prepared for 15 employees to come to you on a pretty regular, recurring basis and tell you how upset they are with health care, okay? Now, once they're released to the exchange, it's really important to understand there's going to be an annual open enrollment, okay? They're talking about starting that as early as October of this year for open enrollment that would take place from October to December for 2014. Well, what's going to happen is those employees are going to have to crunch in there, make that decision, and you're going to have to hope that the care and the choice they make is a good one, because otherwise they're likely to come back to you and say, you know, Randy, I'd like to work for you, but gosh, I got this offer from this other company that's got a group plan, and I don't have to mess with all this stuff, okay? Because this is not going to be smooth, we do not believe. Okay. The other thing that I want you to think about and think about very clearly is the fact that when you make that decision to release your employees to the exchange, you are also making that decision for your own executives and your own owners and your partners, yourselves, and your families. Okay? Because it's going to act the same exact way. You're going to the exchange as well. So that is not the panacea that it appears, and I would just caution anyone thinking in that direction to think that through fully as it relates to what's going to be available and what kind of plans care are going to be available to my employees. Okay? This healthcare reform, as Steve mentioned, Ken mentioned, 2,000 pages of documents represent, is extremely complex. It's so complex that benefits people. I'm a benefits guy for 30 years, and benefits people look at this and they say, that can't be. How are you going to have all of these elements for the greater good and not drive up costs, okay? So the things like guaranteed issue, the things like no pre-existing conditions is only going to drive our costs up. What's going to happen, as a placeholder for year one, this is going to be the level of increase that we've talked about. Year two, all bets are off, because I think you're going to see major shifts and major swings potentially even above those. Okay, certainly the fees and penalties and all of those things do increase over time as well. So the choices, and I would say to you that the folks that I've met with over the last 2 months have kind of fallen into 3 buckets. The group that, first group gets awareness raised, decides that, okay, this is coming hell or high water, I've got to make a decision, and before all the rush and chaos starts, I want to know that I've got a place where my health care plan for my business is going to be secure. I got to know what the price is going to be. I got to know what is going to be available in terms of plan design, and I want to make a decision now. That's group number 1, okay? Group number 2 is kind of in that middle that says, you know, this doesn't really take effect to 2014, and because of that, you know, I'm going to wait and see. I think there's still some other things that are going to occur, you know, Superman's going to swoop down and change this somehow. Something's going to happen. I'm going to wait and see. And then the last group, I would say, is about the other third, and it's the group sitting there that's overwhelmed, that hears all these numbers and figures and doesn't really know today how much is healthcare going to cost for my company next year. And it's kind of like I'm paralyzed. I can't make a decision. I'm a deer in the headlights, okay? I've seen that play itself out over and over and over with different companies over the last 2 months. The thing I'm going to say to you is that we have created, which is going to be available on April 1st, a complete website geared toward the Affordable Care Act and geared toward the solutions that we've talked about today. It'll be available on April 1st, and I've gone ahead and we've put Ken and Marty's contacts up here. Marty Floss is the Executive Vice President of Sales and Marketing for Peliton, for those of you that haven't had a chance to meet Marty. But the thing that I would encourage is begin your exploration now, because there are certain trapdoors and thresholds that you must meet in order to be able to move into the PEO, as an example. You can do that now. You don't have to wait. You can put yourself in a protected spot away from those 40+% increases that are going to take place next year. Okay? I want to say some thank yous. First to Marty Floss and the Peliton Sales and Marketing team for putting on this event. They always do an excellent job. But foremost, I want to thank you all for taking time out of your busy schedules. I know this is a very important business topic that we're all going to be facing and are facing right now. And so the call to action, if you will, is ask yourselves, how am I going to ensure that my company has a benefit plan for my employees that I'm happy with, that I will put my family in, and know what the cost, what the financial impact of that plan is going to be going forward, so that I can make strategic planning in my business effective and build that into it. So I would encourage you, if you have further questions, and I apologize for not opening this up to a general Q&A, and we did that only because there are so many nuances with each business in the room today. I would highly encourage you to seek out your Peliton representative and hold a meeting. Have us come out to see you, you come in and see us, however it works for you, to get the information you need to make the informed decision. So I thank you all for sticking through the weather and being here this morning. Thank you.